Broadcast is
It's
live.
live from my end.
It's live, but always wait for it to show up on me page, my brother.
Okay.
That's the only thing about show business.
Yeah, we'll just tag us in. We'll go from there.
Yeah, I got you, brethren. I really wanted to. Here we go. Gotta hire me a producer. Yeah, I
That's
got
what we
you.
got the phones for. They like remote controls, you know what I'm saying?
Really wanted to. What'd you say? Here we go.
So that's what you got the boys for. They like remote controls. Come on, I need you to get a boom.
Listen here, brother. These jokers got a music company now, right? Yeah, like I work
I've
for
been
them.
watching it. I've been watching it. They got jokes too.
Come on, you can get it. Listen here, brother. These jokers got a music company now, right? Yeah, all right. I work for them.
I've been watching
All right. Okay. Just tag me all in, my brother. All right. Y'all in there?
Yeah.
Wait for it to show up on me page, my brother. Y'all in, my brother. All right, man. Well, listen. What I wanted to do was I wanted to come on tonight. You know, we did a show last week. We talked about relationships. We talked about George Floyd. What I wanted to touch on tonight was this has been a hectic week around the country, around the globe, and there's a lot that's happened. The day is what, June 5th, 6th. It looks different from May 6th. It looks different from March 6th. Every week has been hectic. So I see that everyone is marching around the country. I don't have a problem with that. Um, Me personally, I'm not marching. You know, 10 years ago, I was frontline. I was an activist. I was marching. I was protesting. Right now, there's certain scenarios where I don't march. I don't feel like it's impactful for certain scenarios. I'm loving the fact that everybody is coming together. I think this moment in history is just as impactful as the 60s, you know, during the MLK years. Someone asked me today, was I marching? I was like, I won't be marching today. And they was like, well, marching is what, you know, brought about change the last time. And then we got into a discussion where I said, let me enlighten you. Like marching was the symbolic part of the revolution. Martin Luther King actually uh, collapsed the whole economy. That's what made the change come. Having people that were willing to support the boycott when you had the service workers that will say we're not going to get on the bus, we're going to walk an hour to work and an hour back. We're losing pay, but we're going to do this to support the cause. The bus companies start losing money. The bus, I mean, transportation agency lost money, and so today I've seen a lot of people where I'm still saying financially, I think that that's the plan. That's the goal. Last week we had a rally in West Palm Beach, which was phenomenal. But I think that us as African Americans, we need to learn how to organize properly. Because last week we had a couple thousand people. We should have had some people out there registering people to vote. And collectively, I would have asked that somebody would have put up a maybe not a GoFundMe, but collectively, everybody that was at that rally said we're going to put some money aside to support a legal pack, you know, a legal fund, retain some attorneys. I just feel like we got to find a way to effectively boycott. I think we need to pool our money, have a plan. So while we're boycotting, say these companies are the ones that are going to support us. So these are the only stores that we're going to be shopping at. We're not supporting um, those other companies. You know, the ones that we put up on social media and say these are the companies that are supporting Trump, so we're not supporting them. But you still see people there. We effectively have to come up with a plan, a blueprint, and say this is how we're going to bring about change, because America is about money and it's one big monopoly board. So until we effectively take that $1 trillion that we spend every year, until we do that and recognize the power in that, we're not going to get change that we're looking to see. So those are my thoughts, fellas.
Well, let's go first. I mean,
No, it was not
I
even a
agree.
question. I'm just saying my stance. I know people are marching and people don't agree with that, but I'm saying for me, I'm past that. I'm at a point where I'm more proactive, saying we need to have a plan. If me, of all four of us, said tomorrow we want to be effective, first thing I'm gonna say, we need to pool our money together and retain a lawyer, somebody that's gonna, we have, or we're arrested or our protest. And if somebody says they want to support us, say, hey, we have this fund. This is the fund that we're using to bail out people that protest. This is the fund that we are going to support different candidates, that's going to push the legislation that we might have on our agenda. I said a year ago that I actually created legislation where I said if policemen were involved in a shooting, they don't get paid. A lot of times the officer being involved in a shooting, he's on vacation for a month, 2 months, sometime longer, and he's getting paid. He would have a second thought to me if he wasn't going to get paid. He's going to lose everything.
I look at it. I understand what you're saying, but I kind of look at it a little differently. I come from a sport background. So what normally would happen was if some guy wasn't running as hard or wasn't doing as much, what would happen is everybody get punished. You know what I'm saying? If DeMario isn't hustling today in practice, then the whole team gets punished. I believe that there should be a system more catered towards that. I believe that if you are involved in a police shooting or any type of violence towards the police, your defense should come out of the police pension. Therefore, if your defense come out of the police pension, then everybody's going to start to hold you accountable because you're messing with their livelihood after retirement. So instead of punishing one guy, he doesn't he suffers and he takes away his money. Let's punish everyone. So all these good cops we'll see them come to the forefront because one cop is affecting all the other cops. Because I put up a post, I seen a meme that said if a few bad apples spoiled, if a few looters and rioters can mess up the whole movement, then what does a few bad cops does to all the cops? You know what I'm saying? So that's my.
I agree. I'm gonna say this. I understand that everybody don't want to protest.
I can't hear Mario.
I understand that everybody don't want to protest. You get me?
I hear you. Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear now.
All right. I understand that everybody don't want to protest, and that's cool. And I think Horace brought up some great examples of how to effectively move to step number 2, because I believe awareness is step number 1. So since you have previously done it, I think you already moved on. And when it comes to change, you're an elder statesman. So I think that's your position, maybe that you need to move and be out there understanding that the youth don't understand what you understand. So you know what? You might have to take the position and saying, you know what? Let me gather a bunch of lawyers. Let me set up the tent for the GoFundMe because your advice is needed out there because you have a lot of outrage because you went through this before. But in 92 or in 96 or the early 2000s when you was going through, a lot of these people who out there riding right now were babies. So this is their first rodeo. So without leadership, proper leadership, we're going to always see outrage and misguided anger. Another thing is I want to say this too about the rioting thing. One good point you brought up is lawyers. I don't think people really understanding how this process works. I just put it in my head, and I like to put myself in the position of other people. So if I was a police officer, and normally on a daily basis, I ride in the car with my partner or by myself. But let's just say a 10-hour, 12-hour shift. AC, I get out, I get a couple calls. Hopefully, nothing goes on. I go home. You're telling me to put on extra gear, stand out in the hot sun, and lock arms for hours at a time on the concrete beating me. So when they give you that one chance to dismantle this crowd, you're going to do anything in your power to dismantle this crowd, because at the end of the day, most of the people who are standing in that uniform really just want to go home. Let's just be realistic. The average person just want to go home. So when they shoot and then shooting cans and shooting bullets, they're not even looking at you and people. They don't even care. They just want to go home. So they're trying to dismantle this crowd by any means necessary because they're tired. So they just want to go home. So effectively, I think that what Horace said is the first point. And then the second thing is, the only one thing this protest taught me is this. I'm going to teach my 1-year-old son that it's okay to go to jail. Go to jail. Daddy going to get you out. Don't resist. Because going to jail, I'm saying, is a part of this protesting thing. Nelson Mandela went. Malcolm X went. Martin Luther King went. So people act like you can go protest and not go to jail. Some people are going to go to jail. Some people are going to get hurt. That's a part of, you have to, anytime you stand up against a system, it's going to be a pushback. So you have to be willing to it. And if nobody don't understand what Chris' sister went through, LaToya Ratliff, it's on CNN, it's all over the world. She's the perfect example of how you look oppression in the face, understand the process, go through it, and still stay true to the cause. It's not about me, it's about us. Because that's what it's about. So sometimes if you have to go to jail and you have to do that, get bailed out by what Horace said, but then go back out there again, because this is the process that we have to do to get heard.
Zay, I wanted to go to Zay before I go to Chris, because we do want to highlight Chris' sister who was injured this week at a protest. Right. But Zay, add your thoughts before we go back to Chris. Because you made a point early before we came on the broadcast about people's position.
Well, I think my disposition on it is that just like you said, you don't feel the need to go out and actually march to get your point across. Well, with anything that you're going to do with any type of organization, you have your key players. You're going to have your individuals who are going to be worker ants. You're going to have your individuals who are going to be the masterminds or the organizers. And then you're going to have individuals, that are just going to do their part, whatever part it is, to get the point across that enough is enough. This is not okay. But again, I too share your disposition, and my disposition is because, like with Mario, I also understand that it's a possibility that you may go to jail. And the individuals who seem to not be afraid to go to jail are like the looters and the rioters and the agitators who are making the situation miss home as far as what the purpose of all of this is. It's not about a free TV or you know what I'm saying? It's about getting your frustration across. It's about being heard. But sometimes the message gets lost. So you got to have those individuals who can steer it back to where it needs to be. And then you're going to have those ones who are just the insiders. And that's just a part of it. It's a part of it.
Yeah. Well, this week, for those that don't know, Chris had a sister that was, her story was shared in the, I think it was the Miami Herald. Many media agencies actually picked up the story. I believe you said, guys, with CNN, where she was part of the peaceful protest. And similar to what Mario was stating, after this protest is over, this is the part of the story I know, while dispersing, she was injured and hit by a rubber bullet, which did major damage to her face, injured her eye. Chris, can you share that? Because I actually know how close you are to your sister. We're all family. I didn't even call you for 2 days because I just know how you really are the champion for your family. And I didn't really even know what to say to you, brother, because it was such a week, mentally exhausting week for all of us, man. Other than saying, hey, bro, you good, I didn't know what discussion to have or even what to say to you, because that hurt everybody. That's like, I wouldn't even know how to process that. So tell us your thoughts and tell us about your sister. And I don't even know the full story.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for everyone that supported and everyone that just sent out messages. I didn't want to really talk to anyone because when dealing with that, you're dealing with a whole lot of emotions. You're dealing with first is anger. You're my sister, so you're dealing with a lot of anger, and not just because of my sister, but because of everybody's sisters. This is a situation that we've been dealing with for years. This was going on in the 60s. This has been going on forever. So you deal with that. Then you deal with sadness because you have to physically see your sister in this position. And my sister's extremely light, so it amplifies it even more. But those emotions is one thing, but the emotion of helplessness is the worst one to do. I mean, worst one to go through because if it was in the other situation, like if it was a domestic violence case, you go handle that business. But in this situation, you're up against one of the biggest gangs in the world. You know what I'm saying? So where are you going to place this anger at? Are you going to just go to the Fort Lauderdale Police Department and what are you going to do? So what we want to do now is have chess moves. What I work on more than anything now as a grown man getting ready to be 40 years old, my emotional intelligence. I think that's the most important thing. And as far as, and now that I'm an entrepreneur and a businessman, I think the number one thing for me is to work on my emotional intelligence. I can't, regardless of the fact I can't go high, I can't go low, I have to stay steady and I got to make chess moves, not just I'm mad, F the police, let's ride and all that other stuff. We got to do what we can do strategically. But before all of that, my sister's safety and my sister's recovery is the number one thought in my mind. Number one. Now, I think we was having a little audio situation. I couldn't hear DeMario and what he was saying, but my main focus is the recovery of my sister, the mindset of my sister, because she just went to protest. She just went to let her voice be heard and stand in solidarity with people, with like-minded people. She didn't actually get shot in her face. That was done to her by the police. So all the attention that's brought on from this, it's not like she wanted it. Even with I even started a GoFundMe account, and she was hesitant on me doing that simply because she doesn't want a lot of this attention, but it doesn't go anywhere. It's hard for her to deal with it because my sister is not the type that's rah and wants to do all that. She's big in community service, she's big in activism, but as far as dealing with the press and there's been people outside of her place wanting to get in touch with her and wanting to talk to her. We don't know if all of them have positive feelings towards her. So right. It's a tough situation that we're dealing with right now, but as a family, we're going to deal with it. I just ask you guys to be strong and let's not forget the mission. It's not just it's big because it's LaToya and all you guys know her, but what about Breonna Taylor? What about Ahmaud Arbery? What about George Floyd? What about the countless other situations that that police has overly shown violence to? That's the thing that we got to do this for, because what my sister was fighting for was our kids, Zaya, Kendall, Tyler, young Theo, my daughter Kylie. So that's what she was out there fighting for. So they don't have to go through this.
Yeah, I know we had a conversation, like I said before the show, and I left a party earlier, and I was saying, "What's next?" I was saying, "What's next?" Because the day they had protests, and they've been protesting and marching every day. We marched initially to get the arrest of the guy that killed George Floyd, and then we wanted the other three. So now everyone's kind of saying, okay, what's next? Because we're still marching, and the back and forth between the state and the White House and local assemblies. But what's next? We didn't even get that far. A lot of people are actually saying, okay, what's next?
Well, what's next, I believe, is to, I don't want to dilute the marching. I think that's number one. I even with the rioting and the looting, the rioters, it's a domino effect. The rioters and the looters are there because the protesters are there. They seen an opportunity that the protesters was doing, so they said, okay, well, since this protest is going on, we can go and loot and riot. But the protesters wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the police brutality. So if you're upset about the protest, if you're upset about the rioters, then you need to go to the source. The source is the police brutality. They wasn't rioting 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. I'm sorry, they was rioting three weeks ago. They just had on masks and AK-47s, and they had a different face color. So I'm sorry, they was rioting. It's just somehow the same force. It wasn't met with the same force. And that's the thing that we really need to focus on.
Never meant with the same.
Yeah, there was rioting 3 weeks. That was rioting 3 weeks ago with people with AK-47s and masks that wasn't 6 feet away from you, and none of them were shot with rubber bullets. Let's just keep that in mind. So we can look at it in two different ways. We can look at that as the inequality when it comes to how the police is treating us, or we can look at it as maybe they did not get met with the same force because they seen a group of people that was armed also. So maybe that's the mindset that we need to take. Maybe we need to get armed. Like, what's the next step? I believe that economics is the number one thing. Pooling our money and economics. I think that's the number one thing. Everybody doesn't want to arm themselves, but economically you can do that by pooling your money together and becoming an economic force. So when something like this does happen, when we do boycott, they know that it's dead ass serious. But secondly, you can arm yourself. So when you do peacefully protest or however you want to do, they know that a high percentage of black males are armed and willing to defend themselves. If you're willing, force has to be met with force. That's how I believe. I'm not advocating going out and killing anyone, but I believe force needs to be met with force, or the appearance of force can deter someone from being forceful with you. Right, but if you ask me what's the next step, first I think is economics. Second is protecting yourself. You can't continue to let this happen. We can't continue to let this happen to us and think that only marching is going to do it, because marching, for whatever we think about marching, it has invoked the NFL to make a public announcement against police brutality and in favor of Black Lives Matter. Now, 4 years ago, when Colin Kaepernick was protesting, that was unheard of. They weren't even thinking about that. For 4 years, they tried to silence that and wouldn't even make a statement. People ask me, because I haven't watched a pro NFL football game in 4 years, and people ask me, one of the number one questions was, so what do you think the NFL should do? Well, goddamn it, exactly what they just did. Make a statement saying we are against police brutality. I don't think NFL can change it, but you can't. But we have to do what we can do. So no, everybody don't need to march, but we do exactly what you can do, because every one of our voices needs to be heard.
I want to say this. I feel that more able-bodied, like legal black people, women and men, need to go get armed up. I think it's a mind state. It's a mind state of most black people that I don't want a gun. I don't want nothing to do with a gun. Legal black people, but then everybody else, they have a gun. The Ku Klux Klan got guns. I hunt, so I understand about guns and everything else. I'm gonna make sure my daughter understands it, my wife understands it, my son understands it. But if anybody know I'm a champion of, please go get a gun, because the responsible people with guns are who keep the world in balance. So if all the responsible people in the world don't have guns and all the irresponsible people have guns, then we sitting ducks. And to me, that just don't make no sense. Because the reason why most people I know don't want a gun is because they don't want to use it. So you're right. But you would hate to need a gun and don't have it, than to have a gun and don't need it. I'm telling you, everybody, you don't have to carry it around with you. This for women too. I encourage my mom to go to get a gun, my little sister, everybody go get a gun, because you're the one who's not gonna be quick to pull it. You going to work back and forth. But what happens when somebody come against you and then you're back against the wall and you defenseless? I hate to see that day. So if you can go get a gun legally, you should go tomorrow and go get a gun.
Well, listen, Mario. Zay, what's your thoughts before you know what? And I'm gonna say this. I hear a lot of people, and I mean, this is a trendy. I got in trouble for saying this last week. I said a lot of people were quick to put the hashtag. We're gonna put the picture. I stand with George Floyd. We're gonna do a lot of ceremonial type stuff. But I have some young cats down the street, young cats. So it goes back to what you're saying, Mario. I do understand that I need to have more of a leadership role, or at least mentoring when I'm talking to the younger cats. But the cats was talking kind of crazy, and they were talking about a race war. And I said, listen, if that was to happen right now, if you were to have a situation like that, you are not prepared. You can't even fathom what that war looks like. The ability, when you go to war, first thing you do, you need is communication, sustainability. You got to have the ability to feed yourself, and you got to be able to have resources like water. So right now, look at how COVID has affected people's lives. People are, quarantined to their houses. If something was to pop off on a major level, you would not be able to do anything, because guess what? We don't own no gas stations. Most people don't even have 2 days worth of food in their house. Most people don't have any kind of guns or weapons in their house, like you're saying, Mario. Then fourth, how many people have money, actual cash money in their homes? If right now they went to one of those plans and they shut down everything, people run into the ATM, you can't get no money. You can't get no money. Grocery stores are shut down. You ain't gonna have no food. It'll be pure chaos. So I say, think about what you're saying, because if this was ever a real war, you guys are not prepared on any level. You don't have even the basics. So you need to understand what you're saying when you come up with that.
I agree 100%. And that's because we're getting away from what's cool to us and what's taught to us. I seen a video of a guy teaching his son at 3-year-old shoot a gun, and it empowered me. So I said, you know what? I'm not gonna wait. The minute my son has a idea of what this world is, I'm gonna put him he going hunting with daddy, then granddaddy, and then he gonna get out there and he gonna practice, because you know what it's gonna do too? Teach gun safety. So if he ever, God forbid, but if he was to ever find my gun, he will understand. Let me pull it, make sure it's not loaded, make sure the safety on. Because that's the thing, a lot of kids or people shoot themselves because they don't even know what to do with a gun. They don't even know where to start with a gun. So the first time they get in it, they looking at it, they're not doing nothing, then boom, they go by accident. But if you are comfortable with something, you're gonna have a little more respect for it. And you're right, we don't even fish no more. We don't grow we don't do nothing but support Gucci and Louis. So I think we need to get back to a little bit of the stuff in our life that made us who we was. Because growing plants, fishing, hunting, that's who we are. We are people who live off the land. And I think when we get back to that a little bit more, it'll increase our state. And I think a lot of people know what Tootie is saying, what Horace is saying. So they take that as our disadvantage too. Because I've been seeing that posted a lot too, that we're not ready. I see it from the other side. I've been seeing a lot of that getting posted that, yeah, we want it to happen because I don't think they're ready. And that's a sad truth to the fact that I don't think most of us are.
Yeah, me and Xavier went to a gun show, and I was looking, man, and me and Xavier probably the only two. And I think through the whole show at the fairground, it was wall to wall. I probably counted 5 people of color there, right? And it goes back to your point to say, what do we teach our kids? Like, even if you're not, a child should know how to operate a gun. You know what I mean? Safely and correctly. Second of all, how many of us go to jail on gun charges because we would not go file for a concealed weapons permit? You getting 10 years because you won't go pay $125 and go get a concealed weapons permit. We getting beat I mean, I heard a judge say one time, "Ignorance of the law is no excuse," and that is something truthful, because the justice system is just us. So you want to eliminate all the disadvantages you have. Teach your kids about gun safety. If there's going to be a gun in your home. Second of all, teach your kids, hey, if the powers to go out, how to sustain in the house.
Right.
Have X amount of food in your house. It's just like we need to go back to basics because our grandparents and our ancestors understood all that, and we don't grasp that.
But our ancestors was treated the same way. I think just to play the devil's advocate in that situation, I think that a lot of people don't do that for the simple fact they don't believe that they're going to be treated the same way with that gun. And that's what we've seen throughout that. Yeah, the law is this, but somehow we get affected and treated differently by the law. Now, I still advocate that you should protect yourself no matter what, and you deal with whatever consequences later, because there's a saying, it's better to be judged by 12 than to be carried by 6. That's how we need to truly think. But at the same time, we have to also focus on the laws working in our favor. So we have to, with that gun, we need to also have attorneys, and I think that we should, go black attorneys. There's a lot of things that we have to do to change the system and to change just how everything works. But the first thing is, instead of going back and forth with each other, if there's a movement going on, let's try to follow the movement and try to support the movement and not speak out against the movement. People speaking out anything that starts, you always got this select group that want to speak out against it. Now, maybe you don't agree, but if a group of people want to black out their Instagram feed, that's a start. Now let's educate that group of people that's willing to black out their Instagram feed. Let's try to encourage them to get guns. Let's try to encourage them to pool our money together. Let's try to encourage them to shop black. It may be a tad bit inconvenience, but let's start there. The easiest thing that we could do is watch who we give our money to. That's the number one thing. If you want to invoke change, you have to play by the rules of America. America is ran off of the dollar. So we have to increase ourselves economically more than anything else, and then everything falls in line.
Xavier.
Yes, sir.
You're quiet. Do you agree with that?
I'm taking in a lot of what you guys are saying. Yes, I do.
Well, and it goes back to what Mario said. Mario gave me a perspective I didn't see because, like I said, for every instance, I said in March, but most instances, I like to approach it from a different angle. Mario said, well, most of the people that are out there now, I can identify that a lot of people that are out there now marching probably never marched before. And a lot of them are young,
Yeah, what would be the reason?
Well, every year we've had something too. I think the last time I actually got involved in it was the Trayvon Martin thing.
Right.
And that seems like a long time ago, but it wasn't. Then you had Sandra Bland, and then you had Philip Castile. This is a trending thing because, to be honest, we're talking about George Floyd. 3 weeks ago, we was talking about Ahmaud
Arbery.
Yeah.
And it moves that quick in this country. You know what I mean? It's like you can't get your feet, you can't get your balance because we're in a reactive state where we're always reacting.
Right.
And we're it feels like we're not respected. So I agree with Chris that I'll correct myself and say that we do need to collectively. I think we need to come up with a checklist. Collectively, we need to all come together, even with our indifferences, to say we have a common goal, and this is what we're all looking to do. So that's what we got to get.
One more thing too. Yeah. I agree with Chris too about the economic part, but and something of what you said about panning together to make sure that you can
sustain.
Yeah, sustain, but it's not even that. It's like this. Every time something happened to us, right? The GoFundMe for the opposing people be enormous. Right or wrong. Right or wrong. A white officer can shoot a black unarmed guy down and call him, pardon my word, a nigga 3 times, and it'd be cold blood. He'll have a GoFundMe for $10,000 in 2 hours. The white officer will. But then a black guy can be 100% right. Mom crying on TV. His GoFundMe got $200. So at some point we got to say that, bro, you got to give them a little bit. Like, we got to help each other. That's another thing too. They know that right now they're gonna have the best representation, but then we're gonna have to get a pro bono lawyer to come in who want publicity to say I take his case. When it should be like, nah, bro, I'm gonna pay this lawyer. We as a people gonna pay this lawyer so we can hold him accountable, because you're not doing this pro bono. We paid you your fee, so we want justice. So it can't be, well, I came and did it for free. So if he get off, then, well, you know, hey, nobody paid me in the first place. No, he go, your $10,000 return fee, here you go from the GoFundMe. Now we want some justice, and they get that, because I look at George Floyd was the biggest GoFundMe by far, and I believe, just me, believe that's because of who Steven Jackson is. But because, like you said, Ahmaud Arbery didn't have a big GoFundMe. Breonna didn't have a good GoFundMe. So a lot of times it'd be, but everybody who on the opposite side did, because they have people waiting with money to say, yeah, we glad that's one more out the street. Here go $10,000. Here go $100. Here go $300. So we got to be eager to help our own on every chance we get. We got to be eager. We should be putting a pot to the side right now, understanding that it's going to come a time in the next 6 months where we're going to have to throw $20 or $10 or $50 into a pot to help some black man or woman who's in distress right now in America, the way it's going. Because you're right, Tootie. We've seen a trend. The trend tells us that in 6 more months, this is going to happen again.
It was happening immediately after this man got killed. Somebody else got killed.
Yeah,
and then
I want to say something.
So
I had to learn politics when I ran for office first time. Man, when you go into these interviews for these different political PACs, you know, each PAC you interview, they might give you 1,000, they might give you more than that, right? I got in trouble because I didn't know how to be a politician. Politicians they lie. Me, I'm giving it to you authentic. So when you go into these interviews with the police unions, which I think around the country is one of the biggest gangs there is, trying to tackle a police union, they are going to get candidates that support what they are pushing. You know what I mean? So me going into an interview talking about Black Lives Matter and, you know, defending or trying to get accountability for minorities and people that are oppressed by the police, you're not going to get no support. But that's why it's important for us, like I said, political PACs and legal funds, that we can collectively take our money and say, this is the candidate that we want to put in office. We don't want the candidate that the union wants. We want the one that represents the people, because the one that the union wants, when that stuff is all connected, the unions, the politicians, the judges, trying to get through those 3 layers is a big thing. You know, so oftentimes when you do see a police get convicted, you know, between the legal system, that's still one organization. They're going to be protecting their own. So that's why overall, I always highlight that even with Martin Luther King, it comes down to the money. He marched, which is symbolic, but he shut down the industry by money. So right now, we often look for people. Back in the days, the Civil Rights Union fight came through the churches. People don't really respect the churches like they used to. Now people look for rappers and entertainers to be that voice. A lot of rappers and entertainers not really acknowledging or seeing the power that they have with their voice, right? So now, you know, everyone's looking for somebody to kind of lead them, which kind of is one of our biggest problems. We're looking for somebody to lead us, and we're looking for somebody to say something impactful. So, I mean, attacking this, comes from different levels, but I'll still say we need somebody. If Tupac was here, Tupac would have been like, we ain't going to Burger King, we ain't going to McDonald's, we not doing this and that, and we wouldn't be there. And you know what? You would have seen some reform coming from them places, because guess what? We about to lose a couple $2 billion.
But it's a different time now.
It is.
Before, you wasn't able to connect on the level in which you were able to connect now. Like, so I don't know if we need a single solitary leader. But because everybody have their platform now. Before, Tupac or any other leader was basically speaking for a large segment of people uninterrupted. Now, anybody, you can put, I disagree with what you're saying about if Tupac was here now. If Tupac was here now, you have some coon ass whatever trying to down talk him too. So you have, the problem is everybody has a platform, everybody has their voice, and it's a popularity contest on who people decide who they wanna follow. But the thing is, we need to constantly keep the same energy throughout our life. We have to stop apologizing for people that murder us. We got to stop. Like when you refer to the Trayvon Martin thing, we got to start saying the Trayvon Martin murder, the murderer, and call out exactly what it is. We have to stop whitewashing it. We have to start calling these things what they are. The homicides, murders, and all of that. So with the whole leadership, we can all take on that mantle. But we have to constantly take on that mantle. Like with you spent a lot of energy running for city council. But now you can, with this platform, now you can start using some of that energy to educate other voters on what these particular candidates stand for, because you're in that, you have that knowledge now. So instead of, you may not want to run next time, but what you should do is make sure that you tell us, the ones that's uneducated about politics, tell us, don't go in there and just down the board go Democrat. This person stands for this. This person stands for that. If you're voting, this is where you should be swayed to, because this is in your best interest. Because when you're running, it's almost like you can't do that. But as an independent news source, it gives you a wider scope. So I think we all should use our platform to be leaders.
Can I say one thing before Mario? I want to say this last show, I had someone say, "Oh, I love the show," and I turned it off after I heard you, certain person say this. I didn't agree with, so I turned it off. That bothers me with us, no matter what color it is. We tend to communicate and have a dialogue with people that agree with us. I think we have to have more conversations and respect people that don't agree with us or they have different stands. We have to be able to have those conversations. I can hear your perspective, you hear mine, and even if we don't agree, I understand. I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. Right now is either I'm on this side with people that agree with me, and I don't even listen to the people on the other side, or the people on this. It's vice versa. We got to be able to have a conversation and respect what people position is. Like the other day, we had a kid in West Palm Beach. He was outside protesting by himself. Black Lives Matter by himself. One kid. Lady comes up. She's mad because he's protesting. And what bothered me is, oftentimes in the past, Ku Klux Klan and different hate groups would have rallies, but they're having a rally off in the country somewhere. You don't see us going out to protest their protest, because do your thing. But now you're protesting the fact that we're having a protest, so you're not respecting our rights. And we have to learn to respect each other's different opinions. But that's just my take. Go ahead, Mario.
I want to say, I want to touch on a couple things. One thing I do agree with Chris about, it's a different time, right? But I'm going to say this. At every point of time, it seems like the far left racist people always have a leader. Like right now, when Donald Trump came, everybody who are racist, the skinheads, the Ku Klux Klans, the anti-this, all of them got behind him and said, "You're our leader. Let's go.
Unity.
Let's go." It was unity. I think right now, even if somebody don't want, because you're right, we don't have a clear leader. But even if we have 10 people, even if we have 10 people talking about stuff, them 10 people need to be on the phone, making sure they talking about the same stuff 10 different ways. You can't have 10 different people having 10 different point of view and giving 2 different things. Because now you're gonna have black people over here doing this, black people over here doing this, black people over here doing this. You're right. We might not need one person, but we still got to have one agenda that's getting pushed by 10 different people or 20 different people. However many leaders that get on social media or activists or whatever, y'all have to be in line, in sync, or even come together like this and have a meeting and say, all right, now I'm gonna go back to New York and tell my people this. I'm gonna go back to Florida and tell my people this. Because right now, you saying, I don't want to march. You saying, all right, let's do this. You saying, let's do this. Now you got a whole bunch of people doing different stuff, and then most people gonna say, man, I don't know, man, they ain't got it together. I'm just gonna do nothing. And that's how we get to the point where at the voting polls, when we lose all the time, because people get so confused. Trump is a piece of crap. Biden lying all the time. So I ain't going. It don't work anyway. And here we go. And I think that right now we've been turning our wheels doing that same thing for a lot of years, because we don't have a good leader or representation of one. And if we do, they're not on the same page.
Yeah, well, as much as people fear Trump, like you're saying, right now, you got a lot of people that they said that Bernie didn't get the nomination, so they staying home. So right now you still got chaos in politics. So it's gonna be interesting in election time.
Right, but I think it's unfair to us though. It's unfair to us because we shouldn't have to pick between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. That's when Chris' point come up. We should be able to fuel our own person and say he's gonna come as an independent, and we're gonna vote for him.
Yeah. What do you say, Chris? I was gonna say I had an argument 2 days ago. Somebody was like, "Black people got to vote. Black people got to vote." And I'm like, the last couple elections, black people have showed up to the polls. We weren't the X factor that decided if you elect the last couple elections. We are showing up to vote. So when something don't go right, they be like, "Oh, the black votes." So if they blame us and saying the black votes are so important, then maybe we, like you said, we need to, like I said last show, the LGBT community, they put their money together and turned into a political power. And you see their agenda. Hell, they came and jumped right over our agenda. You know what I mean? Because they collectively put their money together. And when those candidates, like Biden said, my first priority is LGBT rights, because they understood it's about the money. So we collectively did that. We can come and say we want DeMario to be our independent candidate, and we off to the races.
Well, first I want to say that it's very unfortunate that I can't hear DeMario. I can't hear anything he's saying, because I normally like to pin it back off of things that he's saying. So that's very unfortunate. But as far as the voting thing, we have to truly understand the electoral college. I don't think we have a great understanding of that. A lot of us can vote, and we can get the popular vote, the majority. But that doesn't mean that we're going to get the presidency. Presidency is they attack states that has a larger electoral college, and that's how they win elections more than just popular vote, just getting people out there. So we got to understand that concept, the electoral college concept. We don't have an understanding of that. Now that is a fight that we need to start to focus on to break that down. But as far as voting, from the little that I know about it, because I honestly, to be be fully transparent, the first time I voted was for Obama, and that's what sparked me to get political education. Because a lot of people say that Obama didn't do this and Obama didn't do that. What it did for me was get me involved in the process, and I thankful for that, because now I'm involved in the process and I know more about that, and I'm even able to talk about it. So the number one, but what I've learned from that is the presidential race is one thing. Your local politics is far more important than the presidential. So that's why I keep on going back to you, Tootie. Educate us on local politics. Continue to educate us on local politics. That way we have a better understanding when we go out there into these ballot boxes, and we can cast our vote in a more educated way. Because regardless, the president is just the CEO of the. He's basically the manager of the company. The company is America, but these small sectors, these small elections, these local elections is what affects you on more. It's a difference between banking big and banking through a credit union. They're gonna know your name more. The customer service is better if you focus on local instead of just a big election every 4 years.
So Chris, and I guess Mario too, you as well. Chris has a valid point in what he's saying about, from what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding, a lot of what we need is guidance and knowledge on that next step. How do we set those things up? Chris made a point about the guns, or just the proper way to go about having your firearm on you so that you don't get the time and the faux pas that goes with it, that most people are afraid of guns because they know the time comes with it. But if you armed with the knowledge and the law, and to the extent to know that I can have this on me, and as long as I'm doing these said things, I'm in the right. As long as I'm identifying myself, I got my credentials, I'm in the right. But also the same thing comes into play with the voting. Presidential elections versus the state and local elections, having that education, like Chris said, for him, Obama was the first time that he got into voting. And then I'm quite sure it was just Democrat, because that's what the mind is programmed to think, not knowing the backgrounds of these guys and knowing that they're in bed with this individual who doesn't mean you any good. And how do we set up things that the ones that are under us, who are going to reap the benefits of the groundwork that we're doing, can understand this, but also pick up the rope, the chain, and move the bar across for that first down, so that we can start getting the ball going. How do we set those things up?
Well, first of all, you got to see what you actually want. Like, you got to be real with yourself and say, what do you want as a people? Like, what for the city of Riviera Beach? I piggybacked on when Horace was running, because I knew him, right? I had the ability to say, I know him. I knew how he grew up. I knew what he stand for. I know him as a man, but a lot of people didn't. So right. I didn't need to hear anything he said because I knew where he stood. But I still called him and asked him, what are you going to do for the parks? What are you going to do for this? A lot of times we don't draw the line in the sand and make somebody have to answer the hard questions. Like, you're going to have to tell me what you're going to do. So if you don't do it, I can say, well, you didn't do it the last time, so why should I believe you this time? But right now as Black people, we just say we want somebody better. But we don't really pinpoint what is better for us. Like, you have an obligation. Once you sit in that seat, you owe me. You asked me for something, I gave it to you. You owe me. But a lot of times we don't know.
Listen to me. The point that I'm making to you, though, is like, we have the luxury of having two in our back pocket where we can, hey man, bro, I don't understand this. But how do we set this up for the ones who don't have this luxury?
That's what I told you. It's people like Tootie, like Chris said. Right. When Tootie don't run again, right? I said Tootie don't never want to run again. His knowledge, just like in the world, the biggest thing he got is knowledge. So right now, he need to be posting, these are the Democratic people, these are the Republican people who stand for it. These are the independent people for us. Like right now, I don't see those posts that's saying, this is the judge you should vote for. This is this is the that. Right now, because you're right, he's in politics. So he gonna know more than any of us. So he can post it to the world.
Well, right. I want to say something to y'all. I want to say something to y'all.
My bad, bro. Go ahead.
No, I want to say why it's so, again, whether it's our message, our agenda, or even our financial contributions, we have to collectively put it on one accord. During the presidential election, y'all had, on the Democratic side, y'all had a lot of candidates, which were probably better for African Americans and minorities. But you know what happened? They couldn't raise enough money, right? So at the end, those candidates get filtered out. really, and I always say in the end, that person, the system is always gonna make sure their person is right there. But even locally, you know what my heart was for this city. You know what I mean? You know what I did before I even took the appointment as a housing authority commissioner, right? I tried to educate. I end up doing more educating than campaigning when I was going door to door, because trying to convince the people that these are the people that we're electing don't have our best interests, but those police unions and those other groups are going to fuel them out campaign and make sure they have enough money where their voice is going to be bigger than mine. So the average worker, the average candidate has to work harder. There are so many candidates on the state, local level that are really for us, but the system makes sure you never, ever hear about them. That's why when you're campaigning, always campaign, even if I don't know the race, if I research a candidate, I always try to contribute something to them, because that helps get their message out, because we're fighting a system that is fighting its own extinction. You know what I mean? So collectively, I appreciate the support I got from y'all. But the opposition that I get is big, because I represent a truth that the system doesn't want to get out. You know what I mean? So when I talk about a police union and stand tall on that, the police union is going to make sure they get a candidate to come back and represent them. So it is a hard fight, but I burnt myself out saying, at least I know I'm doing my part for the cause, So that's
really you didn't bring yourself out. Really, you didn't bring.
I want to say like this. First, I want to say something. You use the word y'all had candidates. I no longer belongs to a political party, and I think that I probably speak for all my brothers on this stage, except for you, Republican. But I think that we're done with that whole I'm for whoever is for me. So I put the onus on that candidate. You said that these candidates, some of them was better for us. That's their responsibility to make it fucking clear to us that they're the best candidate for us. Not to go up there tap dancing for massa, not to go up there straddling both sides of the fence shit. Make it clear that you're for us. Because if you want to get money from the economically challenged, then you need to come up with a better way of doing it. I'm cheap, so you're not gonna get my money just because you up there tap dance. You have to give me a reason for me to give you my money. So you have to. It's you to show me why I should be voting for you and to show that you are for me. Now Zay said something. What can we do? Now, what I would say is it starts with us, Zay. I love your page. I think the memes are cute and all that other shit, but I think that it should be a lot more education on your page, except for what we see a lot of times on your page too. Not to say that the ratchet shit ain't cool or whatever. We like to look at that too, but at the same time, it's on us to do more education with the platform that we have. We know about fucking. We know about that. But what we need to know about is politics. What we need to know about education. What we need to know about is gun control. So and it takes the same amount of energy to press a meme that talks about that as it does the ratchet shit. Not to stop you from doing that, because we all like to laugh. We all like that other stuff. But if you asking me a question of what can we do, we take our individual platforms that we have, our X amount of followers, our X amount of followers that's actually likers, followers that's likers and sharers, and give them more information more positive information and useful information that they can share. So it's on us too. If the question is, what do we do next? How can we do it?
Chris, before we go further, I want to challenge you on something. Here's a fun fact. I want to challenge you on something, because that's what we do. Okay. We hold each other accountable. Martin Luther King. They always say about Martin Luther King had a dream. He died. He actually died 4 years after that speech, right? Martin Luther King died penniless. The same people that he was fighting for, Martin Luther King got little to no assistance at all. So I understand when you say, well, people can't be tap dancing and whatnot. We have to do better overall with supporting people of color that we know are actually people of color. I'm not saying all our kinfolks are all our skin folks or kinfolks or however that goes, but the people that really have a heart to help you rarely get the assistance and the support that they need. You know why? Because you might not ever hear of them. You have people that fight to even get the requirements to run for office. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you don't know about. So when I hear people say that, like I say, we praise Martin Luther King now, but many people don't even know his real story. Hell, people don't know Malcolm X's story. I know personally, as a community person, the people that you are fighting to help sometimes give you the biggest opposition.
That's why I said. That's why not to cut you. That's why I said that. I think for a minute that we kind of failed, because the answer is we do know you. We had the luxury of knowing you, so it didn't. You didn't have to tap dance for us. Like me, I'm gonna say me. The minute you told me you did, I told you I got you. But me having you want to know. I should have used my total platform, like Chris said. I should have been posting your posters. I should have flew down there 3 times. I should have had my daughter wearing shirts, my mama wearing shirts, because that's how you do it. Because everybody else don't have the luxury of knowing a candidate. But in this particular thing, I had the luxury of knowing somebody who I grew up with was a candidate. So I should have made everybody understand. Not only did they have to believe you, but they could have used me and say, Mario, an upstanding guy. So if Mario going this hard for him, it got to be some truth to it. Zay, an upstanding guy. If Zay going this hard, it got to be upstanding truth. Chris, an upstanding guy. And I think if you keep doing that and getting behind people, then the money will flow. But you're right. If I'm saying, hey man, Tootie running for city council. Yeah, he good dude, but I know him all my life. And then just walk away. And I think that's why that's a regret of mine, saying I had a person who I look at as a brother who was running for office, and I didn't do more. I should have done me a ton more, because I've done a lot for a lot of other people who I didn't know on their belief system that they was telling me when I know who you are, and I should have done more. So that's what I'm saying. What Chris saying, I should have used every platform I've had. I should have every check I should have been putting $20 or $30, whatever I had aside. And then, because one thing I know is I could have held you accountable. I didn't have to go through somebody else to somebody else to somebody else. I could have picked up the phone and said, hey, Tootie, damn, we ain't got no water fountains at the park. What's up? I could have did that. And then could have gave people in the streets answers on, hey, this why I ain't getting done. I called Horace. I did. But in the other stuff, we don't. So I think at some point we might need you, because I'm detached from a lot of other stuff that I might say, because you know right now, if you call and tell me, hey, these some good people, I done called you a couple of times and said, hey, who should I tell my family to vote for in this district? And who should I tell my person to vote for in this district? And they go hard because your voice do matter. So when you post more, it's going to make a bigger thing, but we got to grab that flag and keep running.
Yeah, more black judges, more jury duty. And again, I say this, trying to get our kids to say, being a policeman in your community is not horrific like it once was. The stigma was about being a cop. When they say jury duty, go be on jury duty, because it might be a brother like Zay or my cousin or somebody else, a brother who in there on some injustice stuff, right? And ain't none of us on the jury. How you think that's gonna pan out?
It's not gonna be good. And so to kind of pick up where I left off when I was saying, how do we do these things? I'm not saying how do we do these things from a standpoint of myself, so we can educate the people that's watching to help them so that they know how to get things started. Again, like I said, one of the things that you have in our back pocket is YouTube. So when we have questions, when we have concerns, we can pick up on phone and call you and get those. Not everyone has that availability. So while we have this platform and individuals on here, we can set the ground rules as far as, or some of the groundwork, I should say, as far as how they also can get themselves where they can learn to get that knowledge so that they can have, I guess like Richard Pryor said, 3 steps ahead of the system, because we already know it's going to put us 2 back. But if you 1 step ahead, with that knowledge, then you know how to make that next step to be guided. And that's where we kind of leaning on you to kind of give them some information to help on that. Definitely, I can also say what Chris said, using our platform. Once you put that information out, just like with anything that we do, we have each other's back. You're going to share it. I'm going to share it. I'm going to ask you about it. Therefore, if I have a conversation with someone and they ask me, I can be a conduit. I can share the same information and knowledge that you gave me to that individual so that they're no longer lost. And then what we do is we get our tentacles out, because we know that our network is going to be the network of people that we know. But I know a different set of people than Hard, and Hard know a different set of people than YouTube, and Chris knows a whole nother other set of people. That's all going to be collective in their in the direction that we're going, and that's all that we've been talking about is the unity and just that groundwork. So we're moving in one lockstep. But how do we kind of educate each other so that we're making these same moves? Not everybody, you know, a Malcolm, a Martin,
I think that that's an individual thing, because even right now, I stay in Atlanta. Chris stay in Orlando, right? So for me to be educated on this kind of stuff right there, it's gonna have to be a want for me to be educated. Because you're right. In Atlanta, I don't know a congressman, or I don't know a commissioner. So it's gonna be the want, right? But I think that take a little selflessness or killing of egos of when you're saying, I know I'm not gonna win, but if I'm not a candidate, he the next best candidate. And I think in our situation, we don't get that a lot. We don't get the opportunity to say, oh, you know what? I was running, Zay was running, Tootie was running. Okay, we almost to the primary. It looked like Tootie gonna win. So me and Zay gonna come out and then tell all our people to vote for Tootie. That's not what happened. What happens is the other person starts bashing Tootie, and then the other person who Tootie talking about with the big police union, they vote for them. And it's crazy because that right now we can't affect. So all we can do is just hope that the people in Horace's position do the right thing, which he has done before. Like, hey, vote for him. I might not win, but vote for him. But how many people gonna do that?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Chris. I think the overall summary tonight is being collective, being able to. Mario said agenda. I said financial. You know, collectively coming up with a financial plan. You know, when we boycott, find out who we spend our money with that's supporting who we're against. You know what I mean? Then going to the places that support us. You know, if you know, which it wasn't Wendy's. I know they put out bad press about Wendy's, but recognizing that, hey, these are the places that when we put our money into Wendy's or Winn-Dixie, which I'm just using for example, and they're supporting police funds and police unions and candidates that you don't agree with, and they don't support us, why we're going to keep spending our money there? You know what I mean? We need to find out who supports us and support them. So I take the challenge tonight to come up and say, yeah, I'm going to do better. I might even write something, that serves as a blueprint or a checklist, that way when we do organize, someone does have a manual, or even me describing my experience 10 years ago, or the last 5 years ago, something that'll let somebody know collectively, hey, this is what they did. That way they're not spinning their wheels in the mud like I did when I first started, because I didn't have anybody to talk to,
Which was unfair. Which was unfair to you, because we stay in a black city. So it should have been men coming out and women coming out the woodwork to say, hey, here go a young brother with fire who want to make change. Let's pour into him. And that didn't happen. So we got to break that trend and pour into the next generation. I seen your son, Tyler, I'm reading the comments saying we need more youth on the board. 100% agree with that. It should be somebody right now up under the mayor's wing who young, who's saying, okay, now I'm seeing how politics run, grooming him. So eventually, when the mayor seat come up and he done with his terms and he get older, he can come right in with the same love, the same passion, the same work ethic to groom him into that spot. That's needed, because it'd be a disconnect. It'd be this generation, then it's nobody. Then it's somebody else. Then we got to retrain them all over again. You got to stop that.
And that's a major problem in our cities. I had a major issue with older politicians that run over and over and over, who are in the past that don't get out of the way. That's something I championed for last year. Is like, let the new generation, a lot of these college graduates, kids that have come out, let them start taking these roles and at least be apprenticeship. Like you've been in office 20 years, 30 years, and you've not accomplished anything. But back to what you were saying before, Mario, as African American people, as minorities, we have to care about stuff before it affects our home.
Right.
We usually don't care until it affects us, whether it's crime. I don't even know the checklist, but once it hit our home, then we care. But before then, it's hard to get support, for stuff that affects us day to day. Chris,
me and Chris was talking about that earlier before the show, that even dealing with Toya, it seemed like a lot of us are outraged because we know Toya, because we know Chris. But you should have been that much outraged when you get George. And you didn't know George. Like, at the end of the day, Toya was out there for George. Without no George, this doesn't happen to Toya. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to look at all of us as brothers and sisters. And I think if we collectively saying, hey, when all of us win, that's the only way we're going to have real power. Then we'll stop saying, well, I won. That's on y'all to get y'all. And that's what's really killing us. If you ask me as a whole, just to sum it all up, I think that's what's accountability and selfishness. I think that's what's killing us right now. If you take accountability and say, like Chris said, let me start with me. Before I start putting anybody else on the board, on the fire pit, let me start with me. What can DeMario do? Me, then I go to my house. What can my wife do? My son do? My daughter do? And I go out there. What can I hold my mama accountable for? My cousin. Then I go to my friend. What can y'all do? And if you keep doing that, then eventually everybody will be together. And then we'll be on one accord. But what happens is, another point that Chris said is, soon as somebody else come up with an idea, either we mad because it's a better idea, or we just don't like it, we speak out against it. There's a lot of stuff I see I don't like, but hey, I'm not doing it, so I just shut my damn mouth and go about my business, rather than putting negative stuff into the atmosphere of that person.
Listen, when I seen everybody marching the other day, man, they marched to shut down 95, but it had to be a couple thousand people, and I was like, first thing I was doing, like, I'm amazed and I'm impressed by the organization and the unity around the whole country. And I'm like, we still need to kind of bridle that. You know what I mean? Like, while we got all these people and they're all on one accord,
right?
Let's try to pool that money. Let's try to, with the voter registration. And Chris said a word earlier, emotional something. You said you had to work on your emotional
intelligence.
Because a lot of us are emotionally PTSD. Me and Xavier back in the days, I had a friend that I was walking towards him. We were having the beef between Riviera and Palm Beach. It's supposed to have been a truce. Me and Zay go down there. I'm walking towards him. He gets shot in the head. While I'm walking towards, I'm probably like 3, 4, 5 steps away from him. I'm in shock. Everybody's shooting. I stood there. I think Zay probably had to pull me away. I think about that all the time. So we deal with a lot of stuff, man. But those emotions, if you don't know how to kind of, I don't even know the word for it, man.
It's checking. Chris was talking about emotional intelligence, and it's something that I guide myself by on every decision that I make. Zay, are you being emotional or are you being logical? But all those things come from what we were talking about in the beginning, and hinges on the guidance and the knowledge. We know we got to set some grassroots down, man, so that they know how to do it, so that they don't have to work on their emotional intelligence. They'll know, hey, this isn't going to get me where we need to be. Yes, I'm enraged about it, but what am I going to do about it? Let's start thinking in game, but let's start teaching that so that they know, because that's how a lot of this stuff is getting burnt up and looted, because I don't know what else to do. So you know what? I'm mad as hell. I'm going to throw a brick through here and I'm going to steal their shit so they feel me. But your message will get
but say, I don't think, this is me, and this is me talking. I'm not speaking for the show. But I think most of the people who loot and stealing are people who loot and steal anyway. I think it's a whole bunch of protesters out there, but then there's people who saying, shit, you giving me a chance to go get a TV? That's what I do. I'm gonna get me a TV.
Hardy, it's because it's all that they know. So you tell them, hey, listen, man, you feel me? You sit down and you teach them a little something different. He may not. But if you teach him and give him that guidance and that knowledge, he might be your powerfulest player because those individuals that have the nuts to go and break in and do that stuff are the ones who are going to be at the forefront and going to be saying
that's
because now they know.
That's a different conversation. I think we grouping them up. We grouping them up as the protesters.
Say it again.
I'm sorry. I personally don't give a fuck about that. I think that dilutes the movement. I don't give a fuck if these people lost some TVs or whatever it is. Whatever those people stole, there's thousands more of them. And whatever store that person burnt down, there's another one in a 20-mile radius. I think that dilutes the message. Those people, those looters and those robbers was only there because the protesters was there. The protesters was there simply because of the police brutality. So if we're going to focus on anything, we got to focus on the police brutality. I don't give a fuck about Target. I don't give a fuck about none of that stuff that was stolen. I don't care. You know, just me. I don't speak, like I'm saying, I'm not speaking for the show, I'm speaking for me personally. Right. I don't care about that stuff. What I care about is the man losing his life in the way that he lost his life. And I think that that's what the people are saying. People are talking about the riots and people are talking about the looting, but the looting has Black Lives Matter on the front street of the White House. I don't give a damn. If that's
so you get what I'm saying, though? You get what I'm saying? Because I don't care about the TVs missing. I'm saying the energy that they have to do that. If we can set a platform, we teach them like, yo, use that energy to do this, so we can further that cause. Is what I'm saying. I don't care about anything being missing.
But
I'm outraged about a black man dying. Give a fuck about a TV. You feel me? Or anything else that's missing. But
I'm not willing to say it's the same people. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not willing to say it's the same people. I'm saying that's unfair. That's unfair to say that because we don't have no definitive fact to say that anybody who broke in a store or anything right now was down there to protest. We don't know that. We just put them all together. So what happened is now, if Chris, Zay, and Tudor was down there protesting, and I'm a robber, that's what I do. I wake up in the morning breaking people's shit, and I say, hey, shit, let me go down here and breaking somebody's shit. Now they're gonna say half of the protesters are breaking people's shit. That we don't know that to be true. So I don't even want to push that narrative. We don't know if none of the protesters have broken somebody's target. We don't know that.
Right.
We don't know that to be true. So that's something that they threw out there and it's been sticking. It might have been like we have seen pictures where people who white with masks on breaking windows. We've seen other people. So we don't know that any protester yet has not been proven that a protester has broken to anybody's shit and stole anything. It's people who probably was home, give a fuck about the protest, drove up there and broke in. So I don't think it's fair to protesters to say a percentage of them even did that because we don't know that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think even if they did, like I said in the previous show, this country was founded on that type of protest, loss of goods in protest of what a tyrannical government is doing to you. That was the Boston Tea Party sparked our independence as a country. So I'm never going to look down on the looters. I personally not taking my ass out there, but at the same time to rob and to loot and riot and stuff like that, I'm not doing that. But at the same time, I think that those are casualties to police brutality. That comes from it. That is what I think we're trying to do is this. We're trying to judge evil against bad behavior. Evil is killing a man, standing on his neck for 9 minutes. Bad behavior is rioting and looting. They are no equivalent. We are trying to equate bad behavior with evil. It is evil to do that. It's evil what the police are doing. It's evil what the police did to my sister. It is evil what the police did to what they did to George Floyd. It's evil what they did to Breonna Taylor. It's evil what they've been doing. That rioting and stealing is bad behavior. They are not equivalent in no kind of way. But one is the reaction of another. Simple as that. One is the reaction of another. So my only focus is the police brutality. I think that's what our only number one focus should always be. We have to collar the police and stop them. We have to draw the line at murder. I remember back in the day where you get your ass whooped, they take your drugs, and they leave you in Palm Beach Gardens or some shit like that, or Jupiter or some shit like that, and make you walk your ass home. I remember times like that. Now you have to feel whether you're gonna live from this altercation with the police. That is the problem. That is evil. If one of those looters was to burn Target down, knowing that there was 10 people in there, that would make it evil. So I don't want to equate those two. One is evil and one is bad behavior.
Right.
All right, man. Like I said, I wanted to bring y'all along tonight because it's been a heck of a week. I must admit, the DC mayor is playing chess. Now that the address for the White House is 1600 Black Lives Matter Plaza, man, I know he is pissed. You know what I mean? I don't even know what to say, man. I've never thought that a time like this, you just had COVID, but I never thought that the country would get like this. Because before COVID passed away, it was all good. And then everything went downhill since then.
COVID gone?
Man, stop playing with me, bro. I might shed a tear.
COVID gone?
No, he talking about COVID. He talking about Kobe.
COVID gone? Hold on.
Listening, bro, man. Kobe Bryant, man.
I gotta be safe. COVID.
You're looking like you're about to play Mortal Kombat, man.
I'm just saying.
Listen.
Yeah,
I want to bring y'all on.
When they was protesting with AK-47s, they wasn't 6 feet away, and COVID-19 was live and popping. Now all of a sudden it's gone.
That's a topic for another
I mean,
day.
it's chaos. He makes a lot of logic inside your chaos. Brother, I'm over COVID. No disrespect. We're gonna be dealing with COVID, but right now, our identity and our survival in this country is at the season finale. This is like America's season finale, and we don't know what next month gonna look like. We don't know if some aliens gonna show up. We don't know if we're gonna have a race war. Hell, we don't even know if we're gonna have an election in November. Nobody knows what next week looks like in America, man. But I do want to tell y'all overall, man, I just wanted to have a conversation with y'all because everybody is stressed out. We just came through COVID-19, the quarantine. So I always say a lot of people were just tired of being in the damn house. And then, like Mario said, you got some opportunities. You got people that gonna steal every time they get an opportunity to steal. But I had to come in and try to get y'all thoughts instead of doing a relationship and dating show tonight or talking about those topics. I felt like we had to talk about Black America and being Black men in Black America and the status quo. Y'all got any closing comment?
Just tell them to go fund me, Chris, for Toya.
Yeah.
Well, first I want to thank everybody who's already gave to the GoFundMe account. Let me take this down. But I like to thank everybody that has already supported, and even if you haven't supported, if you just shared it, that's cool. As of right now, my sister is in recovery. We speak every day. And a lot of this attention is a bit much for us. But I appreciate all the support. But we don't have time for the sorrow. We don't have the time for the pity. If you really want to, show that you care, let's do something. Let's do something. Let's fight for her, because by fighting for everyone else and fight this monster that we're dealing with police brutality. I'd like to thank Tootie for giving me this platform to speak my mind in the household, to give an update on my sister. What we ask right now is for everyone to be patient and let let her deal with this, because this is a really traumatizing experience for her, and she's still having take the bandage off. So there's another layer of this gonna have to psychologically be dealt with. So, but I appreciate all the support. Just check my page if you're interested. I don't want to promote it too much because at the end of the day, I want the people that care anyway. So all the information is on my page. From now on, I'm going to be posting other information on my platform to educate my people.
Goddamn Xavier. Mario. Close out Mario, because this guy, man.
I'm sorry, Chris. Oh my God. My God, you gotta love my homeboys, man. I love them to death, man. No, I appreciate like Chris said, I appreciate this opportunity too. You know what I'm saying? Because I think this helped me to get through the week talking to y'all. I'm glad people get to peek in our window of our conversations. And send Horace, Chris, or Zay any questions y'all or any topic that y'all want us to talk about that y'all want to see ran over on the show, so we can keep it going. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Xavier, because you weren't here last show, what's your closing comments, man?
Oh man, closing comments for me. Yeah, I think I still want to kind of get together with you guys and figure out some game plan things. You guys gave up some good topics. What you want to see. I just want to, if we can use this platform, give some people some knowledge so that they can branch out from where we start. That's all I really want to close on.
Real.
That's pretty much it. But like I said, my main thing is guidance and knowledge, man. Once we can get that out of there, once we can knowledge them, then the guidance is there. That's the steps that we didn't have. Those are the things that we kind of bumped and traveled through. It's what got you tired, not knowing, burnt you out. If we can help someone else, then we can help someone. So let's just do that.
All right, man. Well, we signing off. I'll probably talk to you guys backstage of the broadcast, but I wanted to make sure we came on, and like I said, our conversations are authentic. And last show, people were saying they don't get a lot of authentic conversations, and people don't know this is how we talk. Whether we're in a group chat all day or we sitting in the living room together, we have some awesome chat, but all of us have different perspectives with high intelligence. So I wanted to share that, and I don't even know what to say about it right now. But hey, catch us next week on the next show. Later. I can't let me leave my studio.